If you grew up during the tail end of the Satanic Panic, then you remember the myth around Ozzy Osbourne's Mr. Crowley. Parents groups and late-night preachers talked about it like it was a literal black mass pressed onto vinyl, the ultimate proof that the former Black Sabbath frontman was a dark occult mastermind. But if you talk to the guys who actually sat in the room at Ridge Farm Studios in 1980, the reality is a lot less spooky, a lot more complicated, and wrapped up in some of the pettiest music business fuckery of the era. You see, by 1979, Ozzy wasn't masterminding anything. Black Sabbath had kicked him out for being completely unmanageable, and he was spending his days surrounded by empty delivery boxes and liquor bottles in a West Hollywood hotel room. Enter Jet Records and Sharon Arden. They needed to launch a solo career, but they didn't just need a backing band, they needed people who could actually write a song. So they found a veteran Australian bassist named Bob Daisley and a 23-year-old guitar teacher from California named Randy Rhoads. And that's where the definitive dark metal anthem actually came from. It started because Ozzy came into rehearsals and tried to sing a song about the infamous British occultist Aleister Crowley, only Ozzy kept pronouncing it Crowley, rhyming it with cow. Bob Daisley, who didn't buy into the spooky rock star posturing at all, corrected him. It's Crowley, rhymes with holy. Ozzy went out to get more beer and Daisley sat down to write the lyrics. He didn't write a tribute to Satanism. If you actually look at the words, it's a skeptic looking back at a dead guy and asking, "Mr. Crowley, what were you thinking? Did you talk to the dead?" So it was practically a roast of the man. Meanwhile, Randy Rhoads didn't even want to play heavy metal long term. He was obsessed with classical acoustic guitar and took lessons from local teachers in almost every city on the tour. Ozzy wanted heavy, three-chord chugging, but Randy rebelled by arranging Mr. Crowley around a dark, counterpointed Baroque melody. Throw in a session keyboardist named Don Airey, who improvised that legendary, funeral-esque church organ intro in just a few takes, and you had a masterpiece. But here's how the industry works. The album came out under the name Blizzard of Oz, and was supposed to be a band name, but the label shifted the fonts and put Ozzy's name in giant letters, and turned the rest of the guys into hired help. Before the tour even finished, Daisley and drummer Lee Kerslake were both fired. The punchline to the whole story landed 22 years later, in 2002, after decades of lawsuits over unpaid royalties. Fans bought the remastered anniversary edition of the record, dropped the needle on Mr. Crowley, and realized something sounded completely wrong. To get around paying performance royalties, the management had hired Robert Trujillo and Mike Borden to completely re-record the original bass and drum tracks. So they literally scrubbed the human groove out of the song over a legal vendetta. So next time you hear that incredible outro solo, remember the irony. It's a song named after a guy Ozzy couldn't pronounce, with lyrics mocking the occult, with legendary guitar work from a kid who used a rock star's budget to sneak Bach onto the radio, and a label that tried to legally erase it from history. You couldn't make this up if you tried.